And staying close to New York, a former personal assistant to Sean Diddy Combs took the stand today in the sex trafficking and racketeering trial of the Bad Boy Records founder. Now, so far, we've seen witnesses testifying that they've seen firsthand the abuse and control that Combs inflicted on his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, and others. Let's bring in CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi for more on this case. Caroline, okay, let's start with today. What were the latest details that were revealed in court?
Yeah, we're seeing witnesses come rapid fire. Today, we've already heard from 3 witnesses. You mentioned they're the personal assistant, but also we heard from Cassie Ventura's mother, Regina Ventura, which I think was really important here. She corroborated almost, exactly to a T the testimony that Cassie gave regarding Sean Combs's potential and threat to release 2 sex tapes, one on Christmas Day.
The courtroom air was thick with tension the moment Regina Ventura, Cassie's mother, took the stand. The walls, painted in dull tones, seemed to close in on everyone present. Cameras flashed, capturing the raw emotion painted on Regina's face, her eyes filled with a mixture of sorrow and fierce determination. This was not just another celebrity trial. This was a mother's fight to reveal a hidden nightmare behind the glitz and glamour. Regina's voice trembled slightly as she began, "Back in 2006, when Cassie signed with Bad Boy Records, I met Sean Combs, known to the world as Diddy." Those words sent a ripple through the courtroom, reminding everyone of the powerful man now at the center of stormy allegations.
She also corroborated that she had actually taken pictures and photographs of Cassie's abuse. So that goes a really long way in terms of corroborating and bolstering Cassie's testimony. These are contemporaneous reports to her mother about what had happened. That's really powerful evidence, so much so that the defense didn't even attempt to cross-examine her. She's a delicate witness, and so they didn't even want to go there. But also beyond the corroboration, we're really seeing the government get more into this case of the racketeering conspiracy, right? They need to prove more than just the alleged abuse. We're getting into issues of bribery.
As Regina recounted those early days, the atmosphere shifted. Hopeful smiles faded from her lips, replaced by the weight of painful memories. She described the promise Diddy made to Cassie, a promise that seemed golden, but soon revealed its dark side. "Cassie was so excited," Regina said, but soon that excitement turned into fear. The jurors leaned forward, the judge's gaze sharpening as Regina pulled out a phone, her trembling hands unlocking a message from Cassie. The courtroom fell into a hush so deep you could hear a pin drop. Regina's voice cracked as she read, aloud the chilling words, "Diddy is threatening me." The sheer shock of those words hung heavy in the air, as disbelief and horror flickered across the faces of everyone in the room.
Attorney Brian Buckmeyer joins me now. So, Brian, Hayes' testimony was pretty graphic at times. Do you think that it helped or hurt the prosecution's case?
Graphic at times, and also oddly got a few chuckles as well. Currently, Hayes is being cross-examined by Xavier Donaldson, and so we're going to see where this testimony lands, but focusing on the direct examination, I would analogize it as just more sand on the beach per se, right? In the sense of, did it add greatly towards the government's argument as to what these freak-offs were, who it entailed, how they were organized?
The tension became almost unbearable as Regina described the nights Cassie spent crying, her dreams overshadowed by fear. It wasn't the fame that scared her, Regina's voice softened. It was the man who held her fate in his hands. The courtroom visuals played out in the mind's eye. Cassie's tear-streaked face, the cold, unyielding stare of power wrapped in Diddy's name, and a mother's desperate attempts to protect her daughter from a threat no one dared to speak aloud. Regina's own emotional breakdown was raw and real. A tear escaped, tracing a line down her cheek, exposing the depth of pain and betrayal.
Sean P. Diddy Combs' family arrived for day 1 of his sex trafficking trial.
How is your father feeling today?
They walked into the federal courthouse in Manhattan, hand in hand, in a gesture of solidarity. Diddy's 85-year-old mom, Janice Combs, arrived separately.
The whole entire family will be here today. Yeah.
It was a family affair inside the courtroom. Diddy entered the court wearing a white shirt and a casual crew neck sweater. He faced his mom and his kids and placed his hand on his heart, made a symbol of the heart with his fingers, and blew them a kiss. In her opening statement, the prosecutor told the jury Diddy called himself the king and expected to be treated like one. She showed the jury this notorious surveillance video, which shows Diddy viciously beating his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, the star prosecution witness.
Every word Regina spoke was like a hammer striking a fragile wall of silence and denial. The prosecution pushed for more details, asking Regina to describe the threatening messages again. Her hands shook as she repeated Cassie's desperate plea. "If I don't do what he says, I'm done." The jury's faces transformed from curiosity to horror. The defense team tried to cast doubt, but Regina's unwavering resolve and heartfelt testimony made it impossible to dismiss. The courtroom, filled with the sound of muffled sobs and the occasional sniffle, became a stage for a mother's courage standing up to a titan of the music industry.
The first witness was a former hotel security guard who says he saw Cassie Ventura nursing a black eye after that attack. He says Diddy offered him a wad of cash, enough to fit between his thumb and his pinky, to stay quiet about the incident. Prosecutors said that Diddy threatened to release videos showing Ventura having sex with him and other men, calling them the most humiliating nights of her life. The jury that was sworn in today consists of 8 men and 4 women. The youngest is 30. The oldest is 75. It's a racially diverse group and includes 4 white and 5 black men and women. I spoke with jury consultant and attorney Claudia Colon.
The more different people are, the more likely they're going to argue in the deliberation room, and that's exactly what the defense wants.
Diddy's defense attorney told him to stand and face the jury. She introduced him as plain Sean Combs.
Combs, who was seen reading the Bible in court, has denied the charges against him. He faces life in prison if convicted.
Diddy's name echoed repeatedly, each mention deepening the viewer's understanding of the power dynamics at play. The man who had launched Cassie's career was now accused of wielding that power to instill fear and control. The courtroom environment, a blend of sterile formality and emotional chaos, highlighted the stark contrast between public image and private torment. The camera focused on the jury's faces, some grim, some shocked, all captivated. Regina's testimony wasn't just words. It was a vivid, painful narrative that pulled everyone deeper into the unfolding drama.
You know, one of the key pieces of evidence that was revealed last week, but they took several days to do it, were those text messages between Sean Combs and Cassie. And they spent so much time on it. I want to ask you about it. And if you feel like the revealing of those text messages benefited either side, one way or the other.
Yeah, it did. And certainly the defense can do a lot with those text messages because it does show, in one sense, a side of a voluntary nature of this relationship. You know, she indicated that she wanted to participate in the freak-offs, indicated that she loved him. But, you know, that makes her testimony all that more credible. She did not deny on the stand during her direct examination in her vocal testimony. She did not deny loving Sean Combs at a point, being fearful that he would leave her, all things that, you know, are typical in a relationship that does potentially contain abuse. So these text messages, not wonderful for the prosecution, but again, I think can easily be dealt with by perhaps an expert witness on the part of the prosecution, things of that nature. And again, I will just note, we have more to come here. This is a sex trafficking and RICO federal case. This is not a state domestic violence or assault case.
The story didn't just reveal allegations, it exposed the human cost behind celebrity feuds. Cassie, once just a name in the headlines, emerged as a young woman trapped in a nightmare of intimidation. Regina's voice trembled but did not falter, as she declared, "This is not about destroying anyone. It's about truth and justice for my daughter." The courtroom was silent once again, the weight of her words pressing on every heart. The suspense was tangible. What would come next? Could the truth survive the shadow of fame and influence?
So Cassie Ventura's mother also took the stand today, right? Testifying about this email from Cassie that she says made her physically sick. What happened?
So not only did that email reference something that made her mother physically sick, I think the focus on the direct examination was that she claimed she was extorted to the tune of $20,000. $20,000 that she and her husband, Cassie's father, had to take a home equity loan out to pay for. But shortly after doing the wire transfer that she was directed to do, that $20,000 was returned. Now, the defense didn't cross-examine Cassie's mother. I think a very smart move here. There's not much you're going to gain, and the optics of cross-examining the mother of a woman that you are agreeing was a victim of domestic violence, I don't think plays well in front of a jury. But there were some facts that were missing from the direct examination that I think the defense can use. It seemed unclear as to whether or not Sean Combs was directly involved with this alleged extortion of Cassie's family. But I think at the very least, the implication that the government was looking to put in front of the jury was there.
As Regina stepped down, the courtroom buzzed with unspoken questions. Diddy's towering legacy now faced a challenge it had never known. The testimony had cracked the veneer of glamour, revealing a saga of power, fear, and resilience. For those watching, it was clear this was far more than a legal battle. It was a dramatic, emotional journey where the stakes were as high as fame itself. The story was far from over, and every new revelation promised to keep the world watching, holding their breath, waiting for justice to take its course.
So I think the idea and the impact of this is that Sean Combs is part of a criminal enterprise. And the allegations that Sean Combs is facing isn't just about the freak-off. I think the government is trying to expand that beyond just the setup, the execution of the freak-offs, the taking it down and then trying to silence people. They're also trying to show that Sean Combs was involved in violence that scared Cassie, because she testified about this incident earlier. The assistant who was allegedly a part of this incident in one way, shape, or form gave us greater details. And I think they'll be able to show that Sean Combs was dangerous, or that Cassie had every reasonable belief to believe he was dangerous. And I think that could feed into, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you go? Why did you still participate in these freak-offs? But I think for people who have followed Sean Combs and the rap beef that has gone from the East Coast and West Coast rappers when it comes to Tupac Shakur, the Notorious B.I.G., Death Row Records, and Suge Knight, I think this falls in line with a lot of the rumors and innuendos that have followed Sean Combs, and he has denied throughout his career. And I think people are getting a bigger and wider picture of this criminal enterprise the government is attempting to accuse Sean Combs of.
Friends, now you can truly grasp how deep and complicated this case has become. When it comes to superstars and their private battles, the truth often hides behind layers of public image and media glare. Cassie's story reminds us that behind every sparkling celebrity life, there can be untold pain and struggle. But this story doesn't end here. In the upcoming testimony, we will see how the weight of these emotions brings everyone to a crossroads, where no decision is easy or clear-cut. Will Diddy be able to present his side of the truth, and will Cassie finally receive the justice she so desperately deserves?
No, it's really more of the same, but I think for the government, it's strengthening their case. As I said earlier, there's a cross-examination going on right now. We started off by talking about this book. I think it's called The Search for Freezer Meat, a book that Hayes wrote about his ED. And so, from my understanding, about 9 or so of the 182 pages talk about Cassie and Sean Combs. I think the defense will try to explore those pages, and see if anything could come up that might discredit his testimony. But other than that, I think it's just general testimony.
So stay with us, because we'll be bringing you every gripping detail from inside that courtroom. Every heartfelt moment, every emotional breakthrough you won't hear anywhere else. If you're hooked on this story, don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel to get the latest updates as this dramatic saga continues.
Coercion, obstruction of justice, things of that nature. The personal assistant testified about several incidents, one of which was this late night encounter with Suge Knight in which guns were involved, prompting him essentially to quit because he felt his life was in danger. Also, a number of issues of violence, including one in which Sean Combs told him to report to the police that it was not Sean Combs that had started a fight with his personal chef, that she had started it first. So that sounds a lot like obstruction of justice. So we're starting to add these new elements into the case.